Okay, we're sharing some tips and strategies. First thing this morning, welcome to Lunch and Learn Zoom Friday. And Marcia LaCour is fixing to give us a little bit of information about what she's learned from Instagram.
So you can, if you have a business account with Instagram, it connects to Facebook. So if you go in and do stories, I don't know if everybody here knows how to do stories on Facebook, but that right now is where the algorithm is the best as far as Facebook goes. And those stories that you create on Facebook automatically will go over to your Instagram feed.
Well,
So
it's what I heard yesterday is it's not stories, it's reels,
well, just a minute.
which are different.
Yeah, so stories will automatically go over to Instagram if you have a business account. And Bruce, you're right. If you have just Instagram, I think either Instagram.
Well, no,
business,
Facebook.
Also,
Facebook.
Just a minute. Then you can also do reels on Instagram, and I don't know if they carry over to Facebook, but I know right now the algorithm.
Facebook has reels.
I know right now that the algorithm is strongly supported on Facebook.
Okay. Why don't we, if anybody knows an expert out there or somebody who's really, really vamped up in this area, to come in and give us a short presentation on what are reels, what are stories, how to use them, how to leverage them, all of that stuff would be a great relevant topic. Something that I also just read was where videos was started out on LinkedIn, and Livy, I'll get your feedback to see if you've heard the same thing. They're not that they're big, but they're not influencing the algorithm like they once was. And that was what the word that I was reading this week. So you know how everybody was really getting in there trying to leverage that. And I'll try and go back over my notes and find out what do you know, Livia?
Can I just pipe up here while you're talking about videos?
Sure.
Videos right now in stories on Facebook is really key. And as a former educator, 65% of the population are visual people. So people don't like to read script or a lot of script. They like to just watch a video. So that's another thing.
Yep.
So videos on stories on Facebook are a big thing.
All right, a couple of things. I'm going to do a screen share this morning for something, a couple of things that I learned this week. And give me just a second. Oh. Okay, the first thing is, you may or may not know this, but your post, okay, you go down here, you see your views. If you click on that, it's going to give you some insights. It's going to tell you, now I know what I noticed, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong. This tells me some of the titles of the people who has viewed my post. Now it's not all of them, because you see I've got 207 views, and Bruce and I was chatting trying to figure this out. And then this is the areas. So this could be very helpful to kind of see who your audience is that's looking at your post. Does anybody have any ideas of why this would not have all of them? Or
you have to pay for the upgrade to get all of them. This is all you get on the free version.
Gotcha. I should have known that. I did that test a while back, but I did not realize that.
That is correct.
And I don't know, I think Jessica, you know, Janice Porter, others might, she's a LinkedIn trainer, and she actually doesn't really say that it's worth paying for it. So you just work with this. You just work with this. It gives you an idea. It's not perfect, but that's why you don't get the whole thing.
Don't pay. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. The next thing that I want to tell you about, and I did a post about this yesterday, is your social selling index. And this is from LinkedIn. Okay. It'll give you your industry rank and your network rank. And then here's the 4 components that you need to know. Obviously, branding says complete your profile with the customer in mind, become a thought leader by publishing meaningful posts. Next, find the right people, identify better prospects in less time using efficient search and research tools. Well, I did a little research on my own on that, and that's where they want you to pay for their services to get that little jewel up, because then you're using their tools more, the paid version. And then here, engage with insight, discover and share conversation worthy updates to create and grow relationships. And then building relationships is strengthen your network by finding and establishing trust with decision makers. So then it goes down through here. The people in my industry, for example, in my industry, 27 out of 100, that's their average. I'm at 77 again, which is the top 1%. Here, 36, and this can change every day. So just depending on what you're doing. But if nothing else, it would give you an idea of maybe some areas that.
How did you get to that page?
There was an article, I think I sent you the link to that article that had it in there, and up on my bar here, it's saying linkedin.com/sales/SSI.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can put that in your bar, but I could not get like the link to show up where I could give it to people, because I was doing research on LinkedIn and it told me about this, and I thought, let me go check and see what my score is. So anyway.
Somebody last week talked about Dripify having really helped them with LinkedIn. And again, I reached out to Janice and another LinkedIn person around that, and they're wary only because LinkedIn doesn't like you using external tools.
Sure.
So it might be great right now, but when LinkedIn starts to see too many people using it, and I don't know, Olivia, if you have to say about this, but they think that it might get cut off. So
for what tool?
That Dripify?
Dripify.
Somebody here mentioned it last week, so I started looking into it. And I don't know, Olivia, if you have anything to share on that, because of course your expertise is in LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, so they really don't favor like third-party tools.
Mm-hmm.
So all I know is that with LinkedIn, video content still works, it still matters. And I just keep going back to what Nikuru, one of our guest speakers on a mastermind, said, that you don't have to shout in the marketplace. You just have to identify your few and whisper to the few. So, video will reach them. And there is this new thing where you want to add captions. So I've been looking into a tool called Clipscribe, and I really like it. So Clipscribe will allow you to put like headers and captions. And if you were here during our video socials where they were doing that sort of service, I mean, you can do that now on your own with Clipscribe. And it's so phenomenal. And then you can format your video too, to fit the sizes, because LinkedIn wants that 1-to-1 square video. That seems to be the one that works best, versus vertical versus horizontal. So it has to be a 1-to-1 square box, and Clipscribe will reformat your video for that. And what I like to do is just record on Zoom, because that's the easiest. It's, just open up Zoom, record right on my computer, it's saved, and then I can upload it into Clipscribe and then make my captions.
Jess, do you have anything on this that you can add?
I would say that all the platforms are getting difficult. Here's the number one thing you need to remember. You don't own these platforms, but you do own your connections, your content, and your data. Back it up, back it up, back it up. Like, that is what I have to say. Export all your contacts. My team, we build out an Excel sheet, because they only give you like a trickle of information about your connections. We built out this full thing. Do they it's like a Nancy Gaskins thing. Do they have a podcast? Do they have a book? Do they have, my team goes through and researches all my contacts in a spreadsheet like that, because that's worth its weight in gold. And if LinkedIn evaporates, I have that, right? And a lot of that information we pulled out of their LinkedIn. So putting on your electronic calendar for all of 2022 to at least once a quarter, back up and download everything. And if you're really active, once a month. Because if you export it, then you own it. And all, the posting and things like that, it's good when you're doing it with a variety of people, like the posting parties, and it's always different people and it's different thing. But if it's the same people doing the same activity all the time, they consider that a pod, and they're not. LinkedIn especially does not love that. They do not like that idea. So, you know, all the little things we're trying to do to rise each other up and support each other, which I think are fantastic. Unfortunately, the platforms don't love as much. So we just have to keep thinking outside of the box and being creative and being careful. And I totally stay away from third-party software. So, and I was shut down on LinkedIn. I was the same day I was teaching a class. Fortunately, I could still see it, but no one else could see my profile. It was wild. And I had to show my driver's license and verify I was the person that I am. And then they turned it back on, which is good because I got
Wow.
other classes to teach. But, you know, I mean, you just can't rely on these platforms. Just that's what I'd have to say about that. Think about when you're building your business to have your own membership. One of the smartest things Nancy ever did was build that membership website for us. Build your own place where your customers can come and be a member. All your connections on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all the places that you have followers and people who love you should be able to have a home on your own website, your own space, because then you can communicate to them no matter what.
Yeah, along the same line is having your contacts in your own email database. When social media went down, it's like everybody was screwed and didn't know what to do. It's like you just have to have your own database.
Yeah. And the other thing too, a lot of us, me included, and I've got to get off of that, is we're using Gmail. Guess what? We don't own that either. You could wake up tomorrow morning and all your stuff be gone. Really need to think about that. And every time we, you know, tie into stuff, something that I realized was during that quick pandemic where they went down, and I think I shared this in our lunch and learn, but people who had been, and I don't want to say lazy in a bad term because we all do it. You know, it says log in with Facebook, log in with Google, log in with whatever. So you don't have to do all that. Everybody who had done that, who had a business, because that went down, if they were logging in with Facebook or whatever, they couldn't get into any of their business accounts because there's no workaround. And ask me how I know. People were calling me.
Yeah, I
you
pulled
know,
things out. I pulled things out of that. And it took me quite a while before, just instinctively, I decided, you know, I don't want this to log in with that. I don't want, so I went through and pulled all of that, and we did an export of all my passwords, and we did a reset. So just like you do a download, I suggest you do a quarterly reset of all your passwords at least. So I have to jump. I just had to come and say hello and see all the beautiful faces that I love so much on my Friday. So I would have a good weekend. So I don't want to interrupt your meeting. I will catch the recording. I love you guys all. And
thank you for the idea. After all, it was your idea for today's topic. So make sure you catch it. That's okay. We understand.
I'm being
Have a great
interviewed.
weekend.
I'm being interviewed live on LinkedIn, literally in a few minutes. And then after that, I'm teaching a class. So it's all celebratory.
There you go. There you go.
All
All
right.
right.
Bye, everybody.
Hey,
Good luck with all of
Hi,
that,
Jessica.
Jessica.
Yeah.
hi, Jessica.
Before we get going, there's a couple of things, just quick little announcements. Jeff Berger, if y'all been following him, he was on his way back home to Florida finally from dealing with his mother and his brother's estate and all that. He's been gone for quite some time, so hopefully we'll be seeing his beautiful face sometime soon. I know it's been a tough several months for him. Business, I think, is going great for him, but you know, just the personal, you know, stuff, dealing with the death of his mama and his brother and all that stuff. Juanita's son down in Miami has been chosen to do a mural for, I think, St. Pete. He's very talented and all of that. So make sure that you catch that. It was pretty cool. And LaDonna's husband had double knee replacement. So we've not seen her for a few weeks because she's been having to take him to physical therapy. But she did drop me a note this morning saying that she thought that he was going to be able to drive soon and will be able to come back and join us. So I don't know, is there anybody else out here with any special events or any updates that you know that we might need to be aware of?
You said check out some of that information. Where is it? Like if I want to congratulate Juanita, is there a post somewhere that?
She's got a post. I just
Okay, I just
mean,
need
you
to
can
find
go
her
to-
post.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
Awesome.
down there this weekend, and she posted some pictures this morning. I thought that was pretty neat.
On Facebook or LinkedIn or?
Both, I think,
Okay.
but I know for sure I saw it on Facebook.
I will check that out.
Valbir,
Somebody
you
mentioned,
go ahead.
there was one more thing going back to the whole social media thing we were talking about. And that was is membership sites. Like I know that there's some that are like an actual membership site that's created where people can subscribe. What is the name of it? What anyway, was it Jessica that said that? And was she referring to just a website with membership, or was it something in specific?
Well, you can do it several different ways. There are, like template websites, even on WordPress and stuff, that have a membership component. They don't even have to be a paid member. It can be a free membership or whatever, but at least you would own it as long as you paid for the site. Most of those go month to month. Or if you want to have your own platform, where you would actually own it, that's something, a little bit different, a little bit more, money, but you can charge for it. So the main thing is to have a platform that you own and you have total 100% control over. So whatever that might look like for you, that would be a plus. Because
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
it's
any of these,
it's always hosted by someone, so you don't ever really own anything.
well,
I
Except
think
for
if
your
you
email
pay
list,
for
maybe.
it.
yeah, if you pay for it, like a WordPress website that has a plugin, and Bruce, you can chime in here, that, and like our website, I bought and paid for that, so they don't own it anymore. We
Okay.
do. So, Bruce,
I'd love to know more about a WordPress website plugin because I just moved my website to WordPress. And also I'd love to know if anyone has any suggestions of moving off Gmail, because my work email, it's melissa@yourguidedhealthjourney.com, but it's still hosted on Gmail.
Oh, you have it forwarded to
I'm gonna
Gmail
type
or
up
through
here.
Gmail?
It's somehow through Gmail.
Yeah, so you probably have it forwarded through Gmail. So if you've got your website as it is, you can then have it just directed to the email in your website. And that also can go through that also goes through WordPress.
Right. Okay.
Bruce,
Yeah.
Mr. IT, come on down.
This is right now my websites are hosted on through GoDaddy. Their sites with it's a special WordPress plan that they have. But I bought the Groove Digital lifetime plan that competes with ClickFunnels and a lot of other things. That combines like 18 different platforms. They're still they're not fully functional as far as with all of them online, but I'm starting to look at migrating off of WordPress onto the Groove platform, just because the WordPress sites don't, they're not as responsive, and they have all kinds of different plugins you can get, but then you run into the challenges that I've found and others are finding, is that the more plugins you have, the slower your website, and it gets some of the plugins don't play well together, and so you run into a lot of other challenges. But at the same time, I'm not sure that, so since I haven't migrated over to the Groove platform yet, there's some things that may not be able to do on that platform until they get their own version of some of these plugins. So it's a challenge, but I mean, one of the things that I've got to look at, I got one of the plugins is Monster Insights on WordPress, and it says I have a 90%, oh God, what do they call it? At any rate, they don't stay on my website 90% of the time. They click away. They don't stay on there for longer than like a few, 5-10 seconds. So I don't know what's going on with that. And they said that's another challenge with some of the WordPress sites, is like your Google Insights and, the indexing and that.
Wait, Bruce, how long did you say they stayed on?
I was just gonna
Like
ask the
5 or 10
same thing.
Excuse me? How much?
5 or 10 seconds.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. I thought you
seconds.
said
Okay,
5
you
or
said
10.
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you said 5 to 10 minutes. I was going, that's fantastic. But
Yeah.
okay,
Oh,
Yeah. John, do you have any insights into any of this we've had? I know you're in that space, not exactly, but you still have expertise in that area.
well, I took a call from somebody who is a potential new client, so I missed a chunk of it. I had to turn the volume down. But it just in terms of different technical tips or suggestions. You're muted, or I couldn't hear you, Nancy.
Oh. The first one would be, how can we migrate off of Gmail into our own email account, so that we have, full ownership of that would be the first thing.
Well, I mean, would be whoever's hosting you. Typically, there's a way of getting an email set up that's attached to your website.
And you may get that for free. It's my understanding
what
as
I-
part of your plan, but sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Like I'm having trouble with the one on our website. I can't quite figure it out why I'm not getting a direct email to that.
Right, yeah. And then you could always forward it to your Gmail account so that you can just look at everything in the same place. But that's one way of doing it. And then Google has something, I'm blanking on the name of it, but where you can just kind of control everything through Google, but you can have your own email. And it's not real expensive, but I'm just blanking on what the name of it is.
Well, there's one that's Google My Business.
That's
You're able to
different. Google My
track your
Business is a business listing, but this is a program where they allow you to have an email and control other emails and do other things.
Yes, yeah, you can pay to have your own custom domain, email hosted with like you@yourdomain.com and that, and the GoDaddy, like I posted my reseller link down there for GoDaddy for getting website domains as well as email plans, because for a while GoDaddy, when you bought a domain, you got at least one free email that you could set up for that domain. They've stopped doing that. They're making everybody buy a separate email plan that you can create your own custom emails for each domain. But
yeah, I'm completely blanking on the Google brand. It's not Google My Business. It's something else, and I just can't think of the name of it. The tip I was going to give is that if you're posting on Facebook, it'll ask if you want to allow messaging or something like that, and do that. You'll be surprised at because some people are more willing to message, and it might increase the amount of interaction you get with people.
Thank you. Abadel, go ahead.
I'm using, there's many different types of hosting out there, and I'm using one that I like the idea of you pay for your hosting, much like what Jack was saying, and you get your email service with it. That's what I'm doing with my emails, and all my domain names are through the same account. And so I can have as many emails as I want. And the nice thing about this type of system, if something goes wrong, you can call and get help. Some of these services that you pay for email services separately don't have a lot of support. Some do, some don't. But the idea of getting your own domain, you've got the domain name, then you have a hosting plan which includes email. You're not restricted on how many emails you do. That's what I've done.
who are you hosting? Who are you using?
Canadian web hosting.
Oh, okay.
And there are some American sites that do the same thing. In my case, I know the server is in Vancouver. Most servers for hosting plans are based out of the US. I chose mine to be Canadian, and I got a fair price now for what I'm getting. So with it comes to the emails, yes, you can connect it to Google, but if Google goes down, what are you going to do? That's why I have, for example, abc@techassist.ca, so that I can continue going. Even though I've got abctechassist@gmail.com, I'm not counting on it surviving. I've got support that Google won't give.
Thank
That's
you.
what I've got for that.
Since I've got you on the spotlight right quick, you want to go ahead and share the timer that you found?
Yes, I actually did twice. The first time by mistake. I shared it. I can share it again.
Well, just tell us about it. Can you move it to the top, like above your head? And because what's happening right now is it's below and it's in your name, so we can't really see it. I'm just wondering if you can. There you go, up to the top.
Like you can move it. I'm using OBS to supply my backgrounds, my image, and this timer. This timer is also can be imported to PowerPoint projects, which I'm working on learning how to do. It's a little different with Mac than it is with Windows, but you can have it any size you want. You got the gear, so you can do any time frame that you want. It's endless if you get the pay for version. But for what I need, it's quite adequate to get the free version.
What are you using it for? Or how are you using it?
Well, for example, I'm on Selling on Spot Marketing quite often, and I get either a 3-minute spot or a 2-minute spot, and I'm timing myself. And I can time others if that's the case. Like in breakout rooms, I've been in some other groups with breakout rooms, and somebody has to be a timer. I can be a timer.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking, because we need that in here when we're doing our elevator pitches. And I had tried that Blue Sky. I never could get that one, even though it was a Zoom integration. I could never get it to work. So I thought, well, I'm going to try that. And what was that called again, Abadel?
I just tried to download it for Mac, and it says the Mac version is currently unavailable.
This is the PDF version. So
Okay.
you have to look a little further for that. Most people have Windows. That's why I gave that link.
Okay,
so
it
check
says
a little
until
further.
then you can use our slideshow timer, so I'll check that one out.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the one I'm using.
All right. Does anybody else have any timer solutions that you could share, since we're on this subject, or some that you've seen that worked real well?
I have one that works for VTeam, but we use it for all of our 1-minute infomercials. But I didn't create the slideshow, but now I'm president and I have to run it. So I'm using it, but I don't know what it's called, but I can find out and share it later.
That would be great.
And I found it's called G Suite, except they've changed the name to Google Workspace. And in the chat, I put the link to the pricing plans. You can get it for as little as $6 a month.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
But
Thank you. Thank
that's
you.
Again, it's a Google
that's-
thing, right?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the if you're trying to get away from
Away
that,
from.
it's yeah. But I mean, I've got like all my email accounts for each of my websites. I have them forwarded to one of my Gmail accounts, and but they still show up. So they show up in both places in that. But so.
Well, and that's one of the areas that I told you guys that I have been struggling with. I've got to get over the next couple of weeks new emails set up and forwarded so that everybody will know, the right way and how to contact me and all that, because I've been inundated with spam and I've been missing, messages, no matter whether it's in Messenger, whether it's on email or whatever. And, I don't want that to become an issue, and it's just a little bit overwhelming, especially when you sign up for people's newsletters and different things like that. That is something that I'm going to suggest that you have an email account just for that. So every time you put your thing out there publicly, and then you can go and look at it and they're still there. And, you know, look at all of that wonderful stuff that you promise yourself you're going to read someday. But
Yeah, and that's one of
otherwise,
the things I use for that's what I use. I've got a few different Gmail accounts set up just for those things, depending on like the subject of, you know, what I'm signing up for and that, and the frequency I want to review it.
yes, 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 yes. Okay.
I have two
Anybody?
quick things to add, if that's okay, Nancy.
Absolutely, Helen, go ahead.
So in regards to Gmail, there's another service available that's called Proton Mail, which is, what's the correct word for it? It's protected in your communications. So
Encrypted.
encrypted, there's the word. So I still have like sick brain. I've had a head cold all week. So thank you for that, Bruce. So not that it's going to get you away from the fact that it's still another service provider, but if you are concerned about your information being shared and things like that, you can get away from Gmail and use Proton Mail, and it operates very much the same, but it's encrypted, and so people aren't able to extract information from you and put pop-up ads on your computer and stuff based on your emails. Second thing that I just wanted to talk about in terms of websites, and I thought of this when Abidel was talking, is for those of you who are in Canada, and I think we're probably about 50-50 or something on this call today, be aware that if you are hosted on a US website, or US host for your website, I should say, and probably some of you techie people can speak to this more than I can, but the rules for privacy are very different in the US than they are in Canada. So if you are hosted on a US service provider, none of your clients' information is safe because the US rules only apply to US citizens as far as privacy. So you're very wise if you're in Canada and you want to be protecting your Canadian clients' privacy, that you are hosted on a Canadian host site. So Abby, I don't know if you have anything more that you can offer on that, but that's some information that I learned in a website workshop last year, I think.
It's absolutely correct. And that's why I chose Canadian web hosting, knowing that they are a Canadian server. I even had at one point on my previous website, I had information about that very same information you just spoke about, plus you know, some other tidbits. The emails from the Canadians have to have on the signature, or at the bottom of the email, if you don't use a signature, has to have your name, your address, and a legitimate unsubscribe button or link. That's what the Canadians have to do on their emails, period.
I just want to further add to what you said, Helen. I was also recently told Proton Mail is a really good option to Gmail, and I couldn't remember the name of it. And as soon as you said it, I was like, yes, that's the one. So I'm going to check that out. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, I've signed up for that, and I've decided to actually push all of my personal email there for the time being, and I'm going to kind of wait and see what continues to happen in the world.
Okay, so there is a limited amount of storage on Proton, which isn't
but
a
you
bad
can pay.
thing.
You can pay though, Kate, and upgrade.
Absolutely, yeah. So options are upgrade, or sometimes it can be a great idea to actually limit so you clean up your inbox.
Yes, yes.
Can you say something about spam?
Yes, go ahead.
One of the things that I've come across in dealing with my customers is a lot of them have made a mistake in deleting the spam. Most, not all, most servers, it doesn't matter whether it's Gmail, Yahoo, or my personal one. The idea is the system makes a new rule at the end of 30 days-ish. And so if anything's left in spam, it becomes a rule that that one gets blocked. So if you're having email come to you that's going into spam and you don't want it to, mark it as not spam, and put it in the inbox so it doesn't get marked as a rule to stop. Also, the we're just going with my thought. So the spam is, most of these servers delete the emails after 30 days ish. So you don't have to go and delete them. You just have to make sure you go and check and make sure that you have nothing there that you want to go to spam. I'm always checking all my emails for spam all the time.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because also along that same line is I had some email on my Gmail account. Some of it, most of it would go into my inbox or the promotional tab, but then once in a while one of them would wind up in my spam. And one of the things that you can do besides in the spam say not spam is on the emails in your inbox, and that are kind of the non-politically correct term is whitelisting, in that it's for just approving the email. You can go in on that emails and say create filter, and one of the options is never put it in spam folder. So that's the other option, is the ones that you absolutely want, and you can also, if you want, direct it to a specific folder and that. But that was one of the things I just recently discovered, is you can set up the rule to say never treat this email account as spam. So
I can also do that on my domain name emails as well. So
yeah,
if you choose to get an email, domain name email account, you can do the whitelisting there as well. It's a little different, but the term is correct. Because there's blacklisting, everybody knows blacklisting. Whitelisting is the opposite.
Okay. Well, thank y'all very much. Been very beneficial, and hopefully some of you have got some really great tips, and we're going to put this on the website, so folks can go in there, and those who are not here can learn from that. So let's move along to our table topic discussion. Last week, Jessica had brought up that a lot of these events now are kind of coming to a head, and attendance is down low. And other people had said that not only is attendance low, but the people who get upgrades, they're not opting in and taking advantage of those upgrades. And so we wanted to discuss and see if maybe the thought would be we needed to pivot and start doing some things different, because it seems like it's the bandwagon effect. And there's several reasons why, and we'll go over that in just a minute, what you think is the reasons. But let's first of all just go around the room. Whoever would like to share, whoever's been going to events, and this can be networking events, or it could be actual training events, any type of event where you would have either a paid or a free option. So anybody want to share what they're seeing, let's just say over the last little bit? Yes, Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, like you've got that Tony's thing is a background actor, with the one that we recently attended with the Sage and the virtual events on virtual events, and that one of the things they were saying was you don't offer recording, you don't promote that it's going to be recorded until they actually upgrade to the VIP, and then they say that you can get the recording, but the recording is only going to be available for like 3 months. So it gives them the sense of urgency to watch it. But the other thing that I've been seeing is, besides just for an upgrade offering the recording, is it offers additional sessions, different, like VIP sessions that one-on-one, like hot seating and coaching and different things going on with attendees and that. So that's the other thing that I've seen more of, is you're getting bonus time with the hosts or the speakers and that.
Anybody else?
So I'm putting together an event right now for November with some other co-hosts, Steve, Garvin, and Irma Goosen. And this will be our second one because we did one in July, and it's Sing Your Heart Song Summit. And so what we've decided is just to make it reoccurring, and we're aiming to do it quarterly. So I think, just having like a dedicated event that people know they can count on, building that community around it. And one of the things that we're experimenting with is how to keep it going, right? Because sometimes the events are just like a one-time thing. And so how do you kind of keep it top of mind for people, keep it going? And we really like to have more audience participation. So making them a part of the process, giving them some sort of project we're working on. And so in this case, it's heart notes. So these will be like letters to yourself or letters to your universe. And we want to create an anthology that's going to spawn from this event. And then also just promoting the speakers in advance. So doing like a speaker showcase, doing like quick interviews and posting them on social media. And then also, inviting them to different podcasts. So anything you can do just to, I guess, one, generate buzz, and then two, keep it going would be, some of the things that we're experimenting with. So we don't know until like November comes around, but, so far the responses have been really good.
I like that idea, Olivia, because I think one of the things that I was going to comment on is everyone is doing virtual events. And so you literally could be at not even just one, but you could be at 2 or 3 virtual events every day, all the time. So it's a little bit of overwhelm. And I love the idea that you're like curating a whole community, because I think one of the things that happens, like let's look at it kind of like speed dating or something. I've never done that, but the concept is you jump in, you have a conversation with somebody, you jump back out, you jump in, and that's the feeling that I'm getting with all of these things, right? You don't really actually get to know the speakers. You don't get to understand the culture it is that they're trying to provide. And so I think there's this whole get to know you piece that's missing, that make people feel very disconnected from the whole online summit. And, the VIP idea was a good one when it started, but now everyone's doing it. You can buy in and you can get the recorded videos. That's not really offering things to people. So I think developing community and finding out what your clients want and all that, like, I love that idea. I think that's really going to do justice to what you're doing and make you stand out from all of those different kind of fly by night events that you see every day.
And to that point, I mean, Helen, you were an invited speaker, from our first event, but we would like to kind of bring you back, but maybe in a different way, by doing an interview with you, right? And thereby like helping to promote your heart song and the workshops you do. And this time around, I invited Kate, right? So like, I'm always introducing new speakers and then also keeping in touch with the previous speakers too.
Yeah, that's great. I like that.
So Helen, and Olivia, I was thinking a lot about, after the meeting that we had yesterday and the day before, is just thinking a lot about the whole idea of the Heart Summit, and the fact that we have been, I think, entrained to think that we need to keep throwing stuff at the wall, and we need to keep, like, it's the line that says massive action, I think, is incorrect, even though Tony Robbins uses it. I think it's really about building a heart-centered community, and the heart song sort of feels like that. This feels like home. And it's really about, how do we have our circle and actually create that circle of abundance within the circle, as opposed to always trying to, because you only need so many people in your circle for everyone to be abundant. So how do we change the mindset and show up in a different way that we can create that sense of real community? I had a friend of mine that she said to me, I want to create that community. That's what she says. She said exactly the same thing. And it's funny because it's, of course, we're going to keep hearing it now. It's kind of like the car that you never saw before, and then all of a sudden you're seeing it all the time. I think it's the next level for the world. We need to create a safe, secure environment where we work together to support one another on our journeys and we create that abundance, because that's really the way the world's supposed to work. And we've been hammered
that's great.
we've been hammered so badly with all, you need to do this or you're not going to succeed. You need to do that or you're not going to succeed. And it's this constant, and I mean, the messages are like, I've come to a place where I go, you know what, your way isn't necessarily my way or the best way, just because you're selling it, you know? And so, and it's the same for me. It's like, we really need to get deep to really create that sense of community and support, that we can really do that.
Like Helen was saying,
Okay.
you know, it seems like everybody is on the bandwagon, you know, everybody started then doing summits, and then it was this, and then it was that. And then it was just like, you know, we do need to look at, you know, some of the things that I want us to discuss. Balbir, I'll get with you in just a second. I saw that you had your hand up, you know, paid versus free. You know, free is great, folks, but baby needs a new pair of shoes, and you have to put money in the bank at some time. So I know a lot of us has been given our, you know, valuable stuff away, and in, you know, yes, we're sowing seeds, but there has to come a payday. So if we're doing all of these events, we really need to be watching our metrics and making sure that we're making money, or we're able to truly, the leads are turning into cash for us. And so, you know, paid versus free, we need to look at the different types. I was thinking about, and maybe the times, what days of the week has been better. Are you seeing that weekends are better than days of the week? Are you seeing that lunchtime is better, evening time's better? You know, for me, I was thinking, okay, you've got your target market. If we're all trying to get people who want to be business owners and bring them in, if you're in direct sales or something like that, do those people work during the day right now? And you're trying to get them, so then you would think they can't do it during the day of the week. You might be looking for people who are retired and they're already at home, so during the day would be better. So I think a lot of that is going to be dependent upon your target market. And then that pre and that post, which I know Drew and Barry was talking about, is key on how you handle that. You don't want to do it too far in advance, but you want to get your audience engaged and excited about your event. And I love the sense of community, because that's one of the things when I built this tribe right here, my thought was, I want a place where entrepreneurs can just do what we're doing right now. Come in here, we've got problems. Let's sit down and brainstorm and build relationships. Every one of us knows each other in this room very well. It's not that we're in here for 2 minutes and we're out. We've been together now, some of us, for over a year. Mm-hmm. And that is what allows us to sit here in this room and just free flow. But that takes time. We didn't do that overnight. You know, that takes time. So let's talk about some of these things. Do we need to pivot? We don't want to be doing what everybody else is doing. What kind of maybe subtle changes could we do? Or maybe we want to go down to a smaller unit. You were talking about the tribe. When I did one of my seminars, what we learned was your sphere of influence, your tight knit one, needs to be 125 people or smaller. That's truly your sphere of influence, that those are your real tribe. Now, everything else goes out from there. And yes, you're going to have way more connections and all of that stuff. But those are the people that when you call, they're going to pick up the phone. Those are the people when you send out an email or need help on a survey right quick, that they're going to say yes to you. So that is truly important. So let's kind of hone in a little bit on these events. And what, Balbir, I'm going to let you go since you had something to say a while ago before we dig into this a little bit deeper.
What I wanted to say was we just had our convention at the beginning of October, but leading up to it, 6 weeks prior to that, they offered VIP. VIP tickets included a recording of the conference, but also pre-convention training. So each week they would have something happen there'll be either a panel answering questions on objections, or somebody speaking about how they got into it, somebody speaking how they did all this massive business in 2 years, and then the next week they'd have somebody who's been just getting started for 22 years. So they had a variety of different people sharing their story, doing training, tips and training leading up to the convention. So we got excited about what was coming, because obviously they couldn't add all this to that convention weekend, otherwise we'd be there for a whole, week. But I think it was great because it built up the excitement for the convention, as well as the extra bits of training that wasn't crammed into everything else, that I found, exciting, because it was coming up to convention, all the things that they were gonna, but it also gave us insight of how people did it in 2 years and people did it in 22 years. Everybody's journey was different, and how the things that they tackled. And sometimes at the convention you hear of all these great speakers and they have this massive success, but you don't get to hear of what they actually went through to get that. So it was nice, that pre-convention as part of the VIP ticket.
Thank you for sharing.
I think part of it too is leading, we're the key phrase is butts in seats. You need to get people to attend your event. And one of the things I think is key to that is doing things before you're offering the event to allow your potential audience to get to know, like, and trust you. To do different posts or different things, little clips and stuff, and tips that you share or whatever and stuff, you're on all the different platforms, to let them get to know, like, and trust you. And then when you make your offering for your event, they're more likely to attend.
There's another way to expand the number of people as well, and that is if you have influencers that you give them a cut and they put it out to their people. And there are a lot of things that are promoted online that way, where I'll see advertisements for the latest and greatest from like 5 different people, and they're all advertising the same thing that somebody else is putting on, but they're helping promote it because they get a cut of it.
Yeah,
Well, let's
getting your affiliate sales force out there working for you.
Yes. Well, let's talk about that for a second. Let's dive into that. Paid versus unpaid. What are y'all hearing? What are you thinking? What are you seeing out there? More paid, more free? What?
I think that there's a tremendous, in some cases, I think there's a tremendous amount of over giving, in the sense that it's like there was someone that I was trying to help support their event coming up, and I looked at all the things that she was offering and the value that she put on and what she was selling for it. I'm thinking, first of all, there's so much stuff that you're giving away. Even somebody thinking about having the time to do it all would be overwhelming. So she was paying for, if whatever people came back, and I don't even care about that. I want to just share the event. And it's great to have these things, but I think there's an over giving away, like you had said before. But I mean, my stuff is worth $30,000 and you can buy it today for $697. And it's this, and this, and this, and this. And then you've got the bonus of this, and this on top of it. And it's like, well, where am I going to put that? It's like,
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm saying is when we're all out here giving all this stuff away for free, then it's expected. And so anybody that comes along behind you that's trying to, eke out a living by charging what their value truly is, people say, I can go over here every day of the week and go get some free training. Why do I want to pay for it? And so there becomes a value proposition that we've got a lot of tremendous expertise out there. And I just really feel like we're giving away the farm.
I totally agree. And I've participated in many, many summits, and I've, given my, lead magnet, I've given my free VIP thing. And honestly, I think my VIP thing might have been downloaded 2 times. And I'm sure that over 500 people have been given it, because it's been given amongst so many other free courses, et cetera, that, as you said, Kate, it's completely overwhelming. And people are like, I just can't do all of this.
Yeah.
And so they don't do anything. And I think what's happening is people are trying to promote their event. They're giving more and more because they're thinking that more value will get people in. But
because we've been trained to think more value. And I got to a point where it's like, want my left arm? I'll just get it off for you. How's that?
I know. And so, now it's beyond ridiculous, right? And nobody can actually do anything with all of that. And so I totally agree that the way we do it all does absolutely need to shift, because it's not working. And the flip side of that is I worked with one paid summit this summer, and it was for parents, helping parent children. Everybody needs help with that, right? So there was 4 experts, and I was just talking about nutrition and deficiencies and how that can show up in behavior and all sorts of diagnoses you get on the medical side. And before we start drugging our children, let's take a look at that. And the course was at $4.99, and there was still huge value in that, not one sale. Then they tried to break it down into smaller courses and sell them for $49, and people could just pick and choose and buy the ones they want. Crickets, right? Because people want it all for free now.
Wow.
Yep.
I was looking into Masterclass. I don't know if you guys have heard of Masterclass, but it's
Yeah.
like a library, right, of like classes you can take with like Serena Williams and Christina Aguilera. But anyway, and so I was reading their case study, and one of their instructors is Daniel Pink, and he goes, you can YouTube all my stuff, it's free, right? You can go on YouTube, watch all my stuff, all the things that he teaches on like marketing or whatever, from Daniel Pink. But people will pay for the subscription because they feel like, okay, they're getting like the Daniel Pink, like 4 hours of his time. They're in his company. They're part of this like elite class, etc. So I thought that was interesting, that you can find information that's available, that's free, that's out there, but then something about, being in this collective to give you that stature.
That's a really good point, because they have, that's one of the things that I've been hearing too, is that yes, there's lots of free stuff out there. You can go. It's up to you to consume and disseminate and try and figure out how to implement it for your purpose and what you're needing. So people will pay for the one-on-one coaching. I want the fast track. How can I use this for me to succeed? And they're going to pay for somebody to help them disseminate all of this knowledge that's out there so that they can utilize it.
Again, and there goes, that's, your value, how we can do the value. Claudio, go ahead. The value ladder is what I was trying to think of.
It's exactly what I was going to talk about.
Okay. I'll get you after I get Helen and Marcia. Claudio.
Yeah, I think part of the way to decipher whether you're going to charge at all or not all depends on the clientele you're looking for too. What kind of an audience do you want? Do you want an audience that you want to buy $1,000 course or something of high value? Or maybe are you looking for something that might take somebody to the next step where you might want to make that offer? So you want to kind of create a funnel. Like I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, Nancy, you were to have a presentation for Cash FX. You could charge. You want people that are going to have a little bit of skin in the game to show, to have people there that are serious about looking at an opportunity. But as a giveaway, maybe you can say, okay, it's $25 to join. If you decide to actually become a member, we'll give you the $25 back. You're going to make it anyway. So at least it kind of gives them, you know, okay, I'm putting out that $25. So I know I'm going to show up, first of all, which I know is always a problem when you do a free event. You know, the percentage of people that actually show up that register sometimes is a joke. So
Yeah.
at least they've got skin in the game. They're going to come. Then you can kind of toy with, you know, it. Like I said, if you're looking for a high ticket item, I wouldn't be giving away anything for free at the beginning. You want people that are serious about listening to what you have to offer.
And you know, you said something right there that reminded me. I've heard a lot of people, and they've invited me to events, and they say, you know, you don't have to worry about going, but I'm going to get credit for everybody that I have signed up. That's a wrong answer, folks. That's a wrong answer. If you're doing that, stop it. I'm going to tell you, for my tribe, don't do that, because that's giving your event coordinator a false sense of registrations and all of that stuff. And yes, they're building their email list with it probably, but for me, integrity wise, I'm not going to sign up if I know I'm not going somewhere and going to do that, because I just don't think that that's ethical. But anyways, Helen, go ahead.
I think Marcia had her hand up before me.
Okay, I'm sorry, Marcia, go ahead. I just now saw y'all's hands.
I want to share an experience I had here in Canada, and I won't identify this person. So I met a multimillionaire, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, and he had a live event here in Canada, and he asked me to help him in a certain part of his event. He ran a 4-day live event, and now he does the same event 3 or 4 times a year virtual. Anyways, having been a volunteer at his event, he gave me anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000 in coaching and programs. So a lot of generosity there. I mean, 10 or 15 programs, what am I going to do with them all? So right away out of the gate, I'm overwhelmed. So now he creates these virtual events. They're 3 and 4 days. They're all on Zoom. You start at 10 in the morning, you go on until 7 at night, and you get a 15-minute break. And basically it becomes the same speakers. Now the speakers may tweak the topic, and now he's having another event next month. And I've come to the point, I don't want to go, because you're zoomed out for about, for 4 days, for about 30 to 40 hours. You don't have a break. You've been sitting. You feel like a fat frump. And so mentally, I've sort of been conditioned to think, oh no, I don't want to go to your event, and I don't know, and maybe this is what other people feel, but I'm just being transparent here. So sometimes the thought of getting onto Zoom is just like, I don't want to go.
I hear you.
Yeah. So, and this person, he's won 2 Comma Club awards. If you know what that is, Russell Brunson, if you've put $1 million through one funnel, then you get this Comma Club award from Russell Brunson. So this guy knows his stuff, but I'm so completely overwhelmed, and I don't want to get another email from him. And I know this is not true entrepreneurial spirit, but this is how I'm feeling right now about virtual events. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. And that's what I'm hearing. Like I said, for the last couple of weeks, I have not done my 125 a week. I had to give myself a break to kind of get caught up and get some infrastructure in place and stuff. But when I'm in those meetings, that I'm asking about it, because everybody is saying the same thing. You can only go, I've done a couple of those 3-day events. And, the ones that I have done, I've made sure that it was ones that I was really, planning on being there, and it was going to be top of the line content and not just so. But again, we have to run our own businesses. You can only do so much training, and all that. We have to be bringing money in because we want to be profitable. So there's going to be a fine line on how much people can absorb before we just feel like throwing up all over the place. So I don't think you're alone, Marcia. I don't know if anybody's quite to that extent, how you described it, but we probably are feeling your pain. And I love training. I mean, I'm one of those where if I could get paid to do it, I would
Yeah.
do it all the time. Now
Me
that's
either.
just me. You know, I love training.
Yeah.
But there
There's-
does come, go
yeah.
ahead, Marcia.
There's something else I want to say too. And in this person's last email, I kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And
Oh my God.
I didn't get to the bottom.
No.
And there must, and I counted, I
God.
think, at least 5 different registration links, you know, in the same email. So I just thought, oh,
That's a tip that they tell you, because, you know, the reason that they're doing that is because the first time you know, the first paragraph when you didn't say no, you keep reading, because eventually they think they're eventually going to get you, and they don't want you to have to scroll all the way back up to find it.
Well,
Now, I
well,
will
each
tell you, this person though, his conversion rate is like at least 50%.
He's saying that, or is it true?
That's true. I've seen him in action.
Okay.
Yeah, well, each section of those emails is directed to a different personality type.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you get that far.
Okay, Helen.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because this ties in directly to what Marcia had to say, and also to the comment that Olivia posted in the chat. So I kind of wanted to just ask this question: that has the summit kind of outlived itself? Because we're talking about, you know, too many days, too many summits being offered, too much content. It equals all this overwhelm. And I love what Olivia posted, because people will buy when they have an acute need for it.
Yeah.
When you're at a summit and you're receiving information from, I don't know, a 3-day summit could be 20 people. And you could think, well, that person's interesting, that maybe I need that, maybe I need this. And then, as you said before, Nancy, the reaction is just you shut down. So I think what's happening is summits are doing what you don't want to do in a sale or in a marketing funnel, is they're confusing the buyer. And so I think we need to get a lot cleaner on, you know, for example, Olivia's summit has a theme. It's about heart-centered entrepreneurs. It's about heart-led business. And that's going to attract a certain kind of person, as opposed to, I don't know, let's say a Tony Robbins, who is all about get your mindset right, get into action. That can cover so many different people that the buyer isn't specific enough to know the need. And so I think if summits are going to continue, I think they need to get very specific in who their target audience is, rather than this. I think, Kate, it was you who said, you know, plastering stuff all over the wall and just see what sticks. But I also wonder, like, should we be getting creative and try to think of something else besides summits? Because summits became the thing because nobody could meet in person. It was I think a knee-jerk reaction, maybe to some degree, the way it's really ramped up because of the pandemic. And now we're at this place where we're questioning, is there value in it as a speaker? Is there value in it as an attendee? And so I wonder if summits should be marketed much more specifically. We are only going to talk about sales training.
Yes, that's where I'm thinking.
Right?
That's
We
what
are
I'm
only
thinking. That
going
way,
to
if
talk
you're-
about funnels, whatever it is, so that it's very specific. And maybe there's 3 or 4 different people that present, and one of those resonates with you and you want to learn more about funnels, so you're going to buy from that person, rather than so much information and just so much stuff. So that's just kind of a thought that I had on that, getting more specific and more customer centric in what the summits are offering.
I think that's a great idea. I think what has happened was everybody wanted to be able to provide a little bit, so that, you know, they would hit all of those different areas of the entrepreneur, instead of realizing, well, only 1 or 2 might resonate with me. So, you know, if you had a social media marketing one, well, anybody who wanted to learn about social media marketing, that would be your gig. That would be worth your time. Oh my goodness, I know this is my, you know, area of weakness, so I'm going to mark this off my calendar and make sure that I am there. So I think you've hit the nail on the head really on that. I could be wrong, but Melissa.
I think I was up next.
All right, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
If
Before
you're
I forget
done,
my thought, I keep repeating it so that I
well,
remember.
if you have spoken, make sure that you put your hand back down so that I know. I'll try and pay a little bit better attention. Go ahead, Kate.
Thank you. So two things. One, a thing that events don't do, and it's been a kind of a pet peeve of mine, and I think that we could create this. And that is creating the space in an event where you're learning to actually accomplish the tasks. So if you're going to spend 9 hours doing a Zoom call and it's a platform of learning of any kind, then make that space extremely valuable, because what is our most precious commodity now? It's time, right? And so we get all this information and no time to get it done. So one, events that actually like co-working spaces online is a really good thing to do. I've been thinking about that. But if we're going to do events, whether it's a summit or whether it's something else, is that if we can create the space to get the job done, then we're serving people at a much higher level. One. Two, the second thing is these challenges that are happening. I did one a few months back before I took my podcasting course, and I thought it was super smart. And what that was is that we had a short phone call every day with specific things to get done by the next day. And then he would give us the next thing. And he said, I will give you all of the information that you need to start your own podcast. The thing that he knows is he knows most people aren't going to do it on their own, right? Just like Bruce had mentioned, but most people aren't going to do it on their own. So he actually has a coaching program, right? He says, where I'm going to take you by the hand and you're going to have me for a month, and I'm going to make sure that you get launched, ready, and done everything that you need to do. And all he needs to do is sign up 2 people or 1 person, depending on, you know, the summit, because he's paying a good, I mean, I was in, but I said, I can't start right now. I need to wait a little bit. And he actually, because he's done it so much, he kind of got offended and didn't treat me very well. So I ended up going to somebody else for help, and they got my $3,000.
Wow. Wow. Let's do a screenshot right quick. I forgot to do that before everybody had to shine off. So let me do a 3, 2, 1. Get ready. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Got it. Thank you very much. Okay. Who was next? Kelly or Melissa?
I think it was me.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I totally agree with Marcia, and I'm zoomed out of 3-day summits. I did a couple in early 2020 that I really enjoyed and learned so much, but I just can't do them now at all. It's way too long. Back to the very beginning when you were talking about best timing, I'm actually right now planning a workshop, which is only 1 hour, on boosting your immune system for very early December. And I'm actually doing it twice after polling people in different groups just like this as to best time, because what I'm finding is, you know, half of you are in the Eastern time zone, half of us are in the West, some people are overseas. So there really isn't a single best time if you're drawing in people from all over. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to do one at 3 p.m. Pacific, which is 6 p.m. Eastern, and then I'm going to do one 2 days later, but in the morning at 9:30 a.m., which is 12:30 p.m. Eastern. So maybe I catch their lunch hour rather than the dinner hour. And then it gives people the choice. And I'm just going to play with it and try it, because the polling of different groups wasn't giving me any answers, but I did hear weekday. People don't want to be giving up their weekends for this. So I just wanted to give you that feedback.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Kelly?
So I went to a 3-day training last weekend from 8 to roughly 4 or 5 each day. And I want to share what worked about it and what didn't work about it. What worked is we met for 90 minutes and had a 30-minute break. 90 minutes, 30-minute break, 90 minutes, 30-minute break. That made it so much less burdensome. Normally, like Melissa shared, I won't do long events. It's a turnoff to spend 8 hours, 7 hours consecutive. I'll pop in and out maybe depending on what it is. What I didn't care, it also had implementation along the way, which Kate raised, which is absolutely, yes, so important because people are already burnt out and overwhelmed. Too much input without an equivalent amount of output, implementation, it goes to waste ultimately.
Mhm.
What didn't work for this training is that there's all this programming around urgency, and you've got 2 days to watch the replay, and you got 2 days to sign up, and she was selling a program for $10,000. We didn't know that up front. We had 3 days to make this decision and maybe a day or two after to follow it up. What she was offering was brilliant. It was great. We got evidence of it. But for a high ticket item, I thought it was like, okay, a bomb was just dropped and we don't have an opportunity to figure out how to make it, come into our life. That was just my personal opinion. But the breaks made it such a different experience. In fact, I've decided to set up my life 90 minutes, a little time off, a couple of hours, a little time off. It's much more human.
Thank you for that. And I wanted to share kudos to you, your review testimonial that you posted. That reminded me, I haven't brought that up recently, even though that's one of our weeks that we should be focusing on that. But I want to encourage you, starting this next week, is at least once a week, go in and do at least one testimonial or review or recommendation or skills thing on LinkedIn. Just do one a week. If you can do that, you will have helped 52 of us over the course of a year. And you may not think that that's very important, but it truly is, to help people so that they can get seen for their expertise and will know, don't lie, of course, I'm not saying that, but if you've done business with them, if you know what they do, please give a testimonial, a recommendation, whether it's written, do a video or whatever. So I just wanted to give you kudos on your, what you got the other day on your post. So thank you. Thank you for that. Marsha, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to talk about an event that a friend of mine created. He's becoming a world-renowned, let's say, self-sabotage health and wellness coach. And what he does is he just did a thing for how men self-sabotage, let's say that's his topic. And he created, video and a presentation, and it's all on Zoom. So he had 6 hours. So he broke it up over 3 Sundays. Presentation, Q&A, and solution. And he sold it, I think, if you got in early, it was $99 US, and if it, and he had 500 people register. So that was his way of doing a summit that he had created himself, and he made like a good money, 500 people paying, let's say $100, you do the math, $50,000. So that's a business model that could work. 2 or 3 people could come together and do something like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay, we have about 6 minutes, so I want to give you the opportunity to ask, did you find this beneficial? And do you like this model, how we've been doing this recently? And would you be interested in continuing this by submitting topics that you would like for us to explore in this manner? Anybody?
Really liked it a lot.
Yes.
I liked it a lot too.
More like a mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we could pick specific areas to focus on. And then we've got that time frame to really focus and drill down and to actually benefit and to implement.
And neurophysiologically right now it's 90 minutes, and now I'm feeling that, it's time for a break. So this is just the right amount of time for me.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
this is a good time frame for for us, I think. But for me to focus on one thing, because this isn't one thing, but for me to focus on one thing when I'm working, 90 minutes is too long. So I have to give myself a shorter time frame with a shorter break, just to do something different.
But I mean,
Okay.
for a Zoom call, this is good for 90.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah,
Well, what
But yeah,
I
I
would
like- I
like for
like-
you to go ahead, Bruce.
I was gonna say, I like what we've been doing is having a table topic and an open discussion. We're brainstorming, we're feeding off of each other's, input, and I think it's very helpful and worthwhile.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think we all have other networks that we're part of, other groups of friends and whatever. So everybody has something different that they can bring into the group. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for everybody to learn something because we all have others' resources.
Okay, so then your homework would be is to tell me what topics you would like for us to explore in this manner. What kind of issues are you having? It can be in your business or in general, what you're seeing out there. I'm not going to limit it, to anything, but if you will turn those into me, what Olivia and I will do is we'll go through them, put them on the schedule. We'll give them to you in advance so that you've got time to prepare. So you will know in advance what we're going to be discussing. And then you can be looking that month for things to bring to the table. Make sense? Anybody have any suggestions that we can add to that?
So Nancy, were you thinking that we would do this every week or?
Well,
once
I'm
a
thinking
month?
maybe twice a month or something, because
Yeah.
the last few times, like 3 or 4 sessions that we've had have been going pretty much the same way. And I've been getting, texts and emails from you guys enjoying it. And so I thought, well, let's switch it up a little bit and maybe try this for a little bit. I mean, we can still
Yeah,
keep
I think
our weekly, topics and our pitching class, but let's start solving business problems that we're having.
Yeah, I'd say that, twice a month would be great. Yeah.
Is
And
that?
I was wondering if we could also maybe meet on a different day, different time slot, kind of just like a business check-in. And
Well,
that's
we
really
have
just-
our mastermind, and we could use that very same time slot, which is what this technically is. But whether that's a good time slot for folks, I don't know. It's the second Tuesday of the month.
Hey, I went for me to say. What are the links? Are the links the same as this one, or are they different? I went looking for the link for the co-op, and then
Wait,
that wasn't on this week.
I hang on just a minute.
So I went looking for it, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what